After decades of service in the Galactic Marines, Sergeant Darius Kane had earned his peace. His final mission had been fraught with challenge, but now, on this small forgotten moon far from the bustling core of human space, he found solace. The air here was crisp, the sky painted with unfamiliar stars, and the silence was a balm to a soldier's weary spirit. Darius had built a modest cabin nestled among tall crystalline trees that shimmered faintly in the moonlight. His days were simple: tending a small hydroponic garden, maintaining his rover, and exploring the rugged landscape. The local fauna was shy, and the terrain held mysteries that tempted his curiosity, but danger was scarce. Here, he could live without orders or expectations, just the soft hum of the natural world. One afternoon, while following a winding ravine off his usual path, Darius noticed something strange: a faint, pulsing glow emanating from within a narrow cave entrance half hidden by vines. The light was unlike anything he'd seen on this moon. His curiosity ignited, and despite the lingering caution of a lifelong soldier, he decided to investigate. Inside the cave, the air was cooler and tinged with a sweet scent that felt almost alive. The walls glimmered with mineral veins, but what caught Darius's eye was a cluster of smooth oval shapes nestled in a hollow, a clutch of 8 eggs, each softly glowing with shifting hues of blue, gold, and violet. He crouched carefully, feeling an unexpected warmth radiate from them. His scientific training kicked in, and he gently scanned the eggs with his portable analyzer. The readings were unlike any known life form: organic, but intertwined with unfamiliar energy signatures. Darius realized these eggs weren't just biological. They were something extraordinary. Ancient legends told of creatures called dragons, beings of fire, light, and wisdom, fought extinct for millennia. Could these be the last of their kind? The weight of responsibility settled on his shoulders. He carefully collected the eggs, wrapping them in protective material. Carrying them back to his cabin, he wondered what he had uncovered. What secrets did these creatures hold? How would they change his life, or the galaxy? Back home, Darius fashioned a warm incubator, nurturing the eggs with gentle care. Days passed in anticipation, and soon, the eggs began to stir. Tiny cracks appeared, and one by one, 8 baby dragons emerged, each radiant and shimmering with colors that seemed alive. The dragons blinked with intelligent, curious eyes, and surprisingly, they seemed to recognize Darius, not as a stranger, but as their guardian. One of them nuzzled his hand with an affectionate chirp, filling Darius's heart with a warmth he hadn't felt since his first day in the Marines. The quiet moon suddenly felt alive with new possibility: a retired soldier and 8 baby dragons, an unlikely family born in the farthest reaches of space, ready to face whatever wonders and challenges awaited. The first morning after the dragons hatched, the cabin was filled with soft, shimmering light. Darius woke to the gentle hum of tiny wings fluttering and the melodic chirps of his new companions. Each baby dragon was unlike anything he had ever imagined: small, but radiant, with scales that shifted colors like a living prism. Their eyes sparkled with intelligence and curiosity, reflecting an ancient wisdom beyond their size. Darius carefully observed them as they explored their new home. One, the smallest with golden scales, playfully blew tiny sparks of warm light that danced in the air like miniature fireflies. Another, cloaked in shimmering blue, seemed to levitate effortlessly, hovering just above the floor as if gravity was merely a suggestion. The others showed gifts as diverse as the stars themselves: soft glowing breath that could heal a withered plant, delicate shimmering wings that could cloak them in invisibility, and melodic songs that lifted the spirits of anyone who heard. It quickly became clear these dragons were far more than just creatures. They were extraordinary beings with unique abilities and personalities. Darius named each of them after old friends and squadmates from his military days, a tribute to the bond he had forged with them in just a few short days. There was Jace, the golden spark-bearer, Mira, the levitator, and Kira, whose breath coaxed life from even the most barren soil. Despite their small size, the dragons moved with grace and purpose. They seemed to understand Darius's every word and gesture, responding eagerly to his gentle commands. In turn, Darius found himself learning from them, their behaviors, their needs, and the subtle ways they communicated, not just through sound, but through light and emotion. One evening, as the twin moons of the planet rose, Darius sat outside watching the dragons practice flying around the crystalline trees. Their wings caught the moonlight, creating dazzling patterns that shimmered against the dark sky. Watching them filled him with awe and something deeper, a profound sense of hope. Darius knew these dragons were rare and precious, but they also represented something bigger, a bridge between the ancient mysteries of the galaxy and the future yet to be written. Their powers hinted at forgotten knowledge, and their trust in him inspired a fierce determination to protect them. He spent hours each day teaching the dragons, not in commands of battle, but lessons of harmony, balance, and curiosity. He introduced them to simple games, puzzles to challenge their minds, and stories of the galaxy's past. The dragons responded with eagerness, their glowing eyes brightening as they absorbed everything. But as the dragons grew stronger, so did the questions weighing on Darius's mind. How had these creatures survived, hidden away in this remote cave? What role were they meant to play in a galaxy grappling with change? And perhaps most pressing of all, what would happen if others discovered them? For now, under the peaceful sky and among the shimmering trees, Darius and his dragons were a family forged in quiet wonder, ready to face whatever the future might bring. Days turned into weeks, and Darius found himself growing closer to the dragons than he ever imagined possible. Each one displayed its own quirks and talents, and their bond deepened beyond simple companionship. But the question swirling in his mind would not be silenced. Who were these dragons, really? Where did they come from? And what did their presence mean for the galaxy? Driven by a thirst for answers, Darius turned to the remnants of his old military training, research and investigation. His cabin, once a quiet refuge, transformed into a makeshift study filled with star charts, ancient texts downloaded from galactic archives, and holographic images projected onto every surface. Late one night, as the dragon slept curled beside him, Darius uncovered an old, worn datapad hidden in the archives of a forgotten library. Its contents spoke of an ancient civilization, the Drakari, believed to have vanished thousands of years ago. The Drakari were said to have lived in harmony with powerful dragon-like creatures, whom they called the Keepers of Flame. These dragons had been protectors of knowledge and balance, revered and nurtured as partners rather than weapons. The datapad contained star maps marking various planets and moons where the Drakari once thrived, and one location matched the coordinates of Darius's remote moon. The realization hit him hard. The dragons he found were descendants, or perhaps the very last remnants, of a legendary bond lost to time. Their glowing scales, their strange powers, all tied to a history so ancient it had been dismissed as myth. With newfound purpose, Darius began to explore the moon more thoroughly. Beneath layers of moss and crystal growth, he discovered ancient ruins, carvings etched into stone walls depicting dragons soaring alongside humanoid figures. The symbol spoke of partnership, wisdom, and protection of something greater than any one being. It was a revelation that transformed his mission. No longer was he simply a guardian of rare creatures. He was now the keeper of a legacy, tasked with understanding and preserving a connection that could inspire the galaxy. As the dragons matured, they began to exhibit behaviors hinting at memories passed down through their very essence. One night, Jace, the golden spark-bearer, led Darius to a hidden cavern illuminated by natural crystals. There, strange glyphs glowed faintly, and as Darius touched them, he felt a warmth spreading through his chest, a silent message resonating within him. Knowledge is power, but wisdom is the flame that guides it. Darius realized this knowledge was not meant to be hoarded or weaponized, but shared with respect and care. But questions remained. If these dragons were once allies to a great civilization, why had they been hidden away? What forces in the galaxy might still seek to control or exploit their power? As dawn broke over the crystalline trees, Darius looked at the dragons nestled around him and made a silent vow to protect these creatures, their heritage, and the future they represented. The secrets of the past were only the beginning. With the mystery of their origins beginning to unfold, Darius found his role shifting from solitary guardian to something far richer, a family leader. The dragons were no longer just wondrous creatures. They were companions, teachers, and friends. Each day brought new surprises as they explored their abilities and personalities, weaving themselves into the rhythm of Darius's quiet life. The dragons thrived under his care. Jace's golden sparks grew brighter, illuminating even the darkest corners of the cabin. Mira, with her shimmering blue scales, perfected her levitation, often hovering near the ceiling as if keeping watch. Kira's healing breath revived withered plants, transforming Darius's hydroponic garden into a lush oasis that seemed almost magical. The other dragons each developed unique talents, and Darius marveled at their gentle, curious natures. Yet it wasn't just their powers that bonded them. The dragons showed an extraordinary sensitivity to Darius's emotions. When he felt the loneliness of retirement, they nestled close, their warm presence filling the silent spaces. When excitement sparked within him, whether from a new discovery or a playful game, they chirped and shimmered in delight. One afternoon, as the crystalline trees whispered softly in the wind, Darius and the dragons set out on an exploration beyond their usual grounds. The moon's landscape was a tapestry of glowing flora, hidden valleys, and shimmering lakes. The dragons flew alongside him, their colors dancing in the sunlight. At the edge of a tranquil lake, the dragons paused, sensing something beneath the water's surface. Mira dipped her claws in, sending ripples that shimmered with a soft light. From the depths, delicate crystal-like fish darted around, reflecting the dragon's hues. The moment was a perfect harmony of nature and wonder, and Darius felt profoundly grateful to witness it. Despite their peaceful life, Darius remained mindful of the wider galaxy. The dragon's gifts were remarkable, and he knew others might seek to use them for their own ends. But for now, here on this moon, they were safe. Together, they built routines, morning flights, afternoon lessons, evening stories beneath the stars. One evening, as they gathered around a fire softly crackling with enchanted sparks from Jace, Darius spoke quietly to the dragons. He told them stories of his past, the camaraderie of the Marines, the battles fought not with weapons, but with will and strategy, and the hope for a future where strength was measured by kindness. The dragons listened, their eyes reflecting the firelight and something deeper, as if understanding the weight of those memories. They chirped softly, a language beyond words, promising loyalty and companionship. In that moment, Darius realized this unlikely family was his greatest mission yet. Together, they were more than a retired Marine and mystical creatures. They were a symbol of resilience, trust, and the extraordinary potential born when different worlds come together. As night deepened and the twin moons cast their silver glow, Darius smiled, knowing that whatever challenges awaited beyond this moon, he and his dragons would face them united. Life on the quiet moon settled into a harmonious rhythm. Darius and the dragons explored, learned, and grew together, their bond stronger than ever. But the universe is vast, and even the most hidden corners are never truly isolated. The presence of the dragons, a living marvel, began to send ripples far beyond their remote sanctuary. It started with a soft flicker on Darius's communication console, a signal, faint and irregular. Curious, he enhanced it and realized it was not random static, but an intentional broadcast, a message of interest, perhaps even awe. The dragons, he knew, were special, but this was the galaxy reaching out to them. He decoded the signal and found it came from a distant research vessel exploring ancient ruins on a neighboring star system. The ship's scientists had detected traces of the same unique energy signature that surrounded his dragons. Their excitement was palpable as they sent inquiries about any signs of living beings connected to the mysterious energy. Darius considered his options carefully. The dragons were vulnerable, but this was also an opportunity, a chance to connect with others who might help protect and understand these creatures. After all, the dragon's existence challenged everything the galaxy believed about history, biology, and energy itself. Tentatively, Darius sent a secure message back, sharing a carefully crafted description of the dragons and their abilities, without revealing their location. The response was immediate and filled with wonder. The researchers spoke of legends, of lost civilizations, and of hope that these dragons might herald a new era of understanding and cooperation. Soon, other signals followed. Beings from various corners of the galaxy, scientists, diplomats, and explorers, reached out, drawn by the promise of rediscovery and friendship. They expressed respect and curiosity, not conquest, eager to learn from Darius and his extraordinary companions. One unexpected message came from a young ambassador of a star cluster long estranged from human colonies. She spoke of the dragons as symbols of unity, creatures that transcended cultural divides and political boundaries. Her words echoed a vision of the galaxy coming together through shared wonder, not conflict. Emboldened, Darius arranged for a secure communication channel to be open, allowing the dragon's presence to become a beacon of hope. The dragons themselves seemed to sense the growing connection, their vibrant scales flickering with excitement as new voices and images came through the console. Word spread quietly but powerfully. On a small moon, a retired Earth Marine and 8 baby dragons were rewriting the story of the galaxy, not through force, but through compassion, curiosity, and trust. Darius watched as the stars above his cabin twinkled like the glowing scales of his dragons. The universe was listening, and for the first time in a long while, he felt the stirring of something extraordinary, a promise that the galaxy might one day embrace the wonders hidden in its farthest reaches. The dragons chirped softly, circling above him in graceful flight. Together, they were not just survivors of an ancient legacy. They were pioneers of a new chapter, a living bridge between past and future, ready to shine their light across the stars. News of the dragons and their guardian traveled swiftly through the galaxy, carried on waves of hope and curiosity. Invitations came from distant worlds, each eager to witness these wondrous creatures that seemed to embody the very spirit of unity and discovery. Among the many offers, one invitation stood out, a call to the renowned Festival of Lights, an ancient celebration held on the vibrant planet Luminara. The festival was a gathering of species from countless star systems, a luminous display of culture, innovation, and shared dreams. It was a place where old rivalries were set aside, and the light of understanding was celebrated. For Darius, a retired Marine more familiar with the rigors of discipline than festivities, it was an unexpected honor, and a chance to show the galaxy the dragons in their full glory. With careful preparations, Darius and the 8 dragons journeyed aboard a specially equipped starship, their path lit by the welcoming signals of friends and allies they had made through their growing network. The dragons, accustomed to the quiet moon, were fascinated by the bustling ship and the shimmering stars outside the windows. Arriving at Luminara, the sight was breathtaking. The entire planet glowed with thousands of floating lights, bioluminescent plants, holographic displays, and lanterns drifting gently on the breeze. The festival filled the air with music and laughter, a tapestry of voices in countless languages blending into a harmonious chorus. As Darius and the dragons moved through the festival, eyes turned in wonder. Children reached out in awe. Elders nodded with approval, and scholars whispered excitedly about the dragon's potential. The dragons themselves seemed to understand their role, their glowing scales reflecting the kaleidoscope of colors around them. One evening, beneath the twin moons of Luminara, the dragons took part in the festival's grand event, a flight of lights. Joined by countless participants carrying glowing orbs, the dragons soared above the crowd, their radiant colors painting the night sky with trails of shimmering light. The audience watched, spellbound, as the dragons danced in intricate patterns, their movements a silent language of beauty and peace. Darius stood among the crowd, feeling a surge of pride and gratitude. Here, amid the joyous celebration, the dragons were more than just creatures of legend. They were symbols of hope, bridges between worlds and cultures. The festival was not just a spectacle. It was a statement that cooperation and wonder could outshine fear and division. Throughout the festival, conversations sparked new ideas, plans for shared research, cultural exchanges, and sanctuaries dedicated to protecting the dragons and their heritage. Darius found himself at the center of a growing movement, one that valued knowledge and compassion over conquest. As the Festival of Lights drew to a close, Darius looked at his dragons resting peacefully by his side. Their journey was far from over, but tonight they had illuminated not only the sky, but the hearts of countless beings. Together, they had shown the galaxy that even the smallest beings, 8 baby dragons and a retired Marine, could shine brightly enough to inspire a universe. The Festival of Lights had not only showcased the dragons, but also ignited a new wave of unity across the galaxy. The bonds formed during the celebration continued to grow, weaving a network of cooperation that stretched beyond borders and species. Darius found himself at the heart of this awakening, a retired Marine now a beacon of hope and knowledge. Back on their home moon, the dragons thrived in their familiar surroundings, their abilities growing stronger with each passing day. Jace's golden sparks became brighter, capable of lighting even the darkest nights. Mira's graceful levitation evolved into swift, elegant flight, and Kira's healing breath rejuvenated not only plants, but also injured wildlife returning to the ecosystem. But the true marvel was how the dragons connected with other beings across the stars. Through advanced communication devices, Darius helped create a channel where the dragon's unique energy could be shared, a gentle pulse of life and wisdom that resonated deeply with those who listened. It was as if the dragons carried the ancient song of the universe itself. Scholars and explorers traveled to the moon, eager to learn and contribute to understanding this phenomenon. The once isolated moon became a thriving hub of peaceful research and cultural exchange. Species that had been strangers now stood together, united by a shared respect for life and history. Darius often found himself walking beneath the crystalline trees, the dragons flying overhead in playful arcs. Their presence was a living reminder of the galaxy's untapped potential, how compassion and curiosity could bridge the gaps that once divided worlds. One evening, during a serene twilight, a council of ambassadors arrived, bringing with them representatives from dozens of civilizations. They gathered to discuss a proposal inspired by the dragons, the creation of an interstellar alliance dedicated to the protection of ancient knowledge, rare life forms, and peaceful exploration. Darius listened as the delegates spoke of a future where diversity was celebrated and cooperation was the foundation of progress. It was a vision that echoed the very spirit of the dragons, guardians of harmony, wisdom, and light. The retired Marine, who had once faced the harsh realities of battlefields, now stood as a symbol of hope. His journey from soldier to guardian, from isolation to community, inspired many. He knew this new dawn was not just about the dragons, but about the galaxy's capacity to grow beyond fear and suspicion. As the alliance took shape, plans were made for educational programs, cultural exchanges, and conservation efforts, all rooted in respect and understanding. The dragons became ambassadors themselves, their glowing forms a constant reminder of the beauty found in unity. That night, as Darius watched the stars twinkle above the moon, the dragons curled around him like a warm embrace. Together, they had sparked something extraordinary, a new dawn of understanding that promised a brighter future for all. Years passed, and the quiet moon that had once sheltered a retired Earth Marine and 8 baby dragons blossomed into a beacon of hope and knowledge across the galaxy. What had begun as a secret, fragile bond between man and mystical creatures had grown into a living legacy, one that touched countless worlds and hearts. Darius, now older but no less passionate, watched as the dragons matured into majestic beings, their scales shimmering with wisdom and power. They no longer needed constant care. Instead, they took on new roles as guardians and teachers, sharing their gifts with those who sought to learn. The Interstellar Alliance, born from the dragon's influence, had flourished beyond anyone's expectations. Its members worked tirelessly to protect ancient histories, foster peaceful exploration, and nurture the fragile ecosystems of countless planets. It was a testament to what the galaxy could achieve when curiosity and kindness led the way. On the moon, the crystalline trees grew taller, their branches lighting up with the soft glow of the dragon's energy. Visitors came from distant star systems to witness the harmony between nature and these extraordinary creatures, eager to understand the delicate balance that had been restored. Darius often led groups of young explorers through the ancient ruins, sharing stories of the Drakari civilization and the dragon's timeless bond. His voice carried the wisdom of a lifetime, but also the warmth of a family united not by blood, but by trust and love. One evening, as twin moons rose high in the sky, Darius sat quietly beneath a tree with the dragons gathered around him. Their scales pulsed gently, casting vibrant hues that danced across the soft ground. In that serene moment, he reflected on the journey that had brought them here, from the loneliness of retirement to the center of a cosmic movement. He understood that the true power of the dragons was not their dazzling abilities, but the inspiration they sparked in others. They were living symbols of hope, resilience, and the extraordinary potential within every being to make a difference. The galaxy had changed because of them. Walls that once divided worlds had begun to crumble, replaced by bridges of understanding and shared dreams. And though challenges remained, the legacy they built was a light that could never be extinguished. As the stars shimmered overhead, Darius felt a deep peace. His mission was complete, not in endings, but in beginnings. The dragons would carry the flame forward, their story weaving through the fabric of the universe for generations to come. Together, they had proven that even the smallest creatures, nurtured with care and compassion, could shake the galaxy, not with might, but with the power of light.